Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Necro. So Necro is a mid or off lane hero, pretty much only played in those two roles, but regardless of whether you're playing this hero mid or off lane, he kind of plays in the same way. I think the off lane hero version kind of builds more like pipe, greaves, those kinds of things, and the mid might go for, radiance or more spell damage builds and things like that, more offensive capabilities, but you can still build defensively from the mid position as well. So he plays very similarly regardless of which position. Now, how do we think about Necro? Well, Necro is a very, very interesting hero conceptually. He does a lot of different things with the way this hero works, but the main thing, the main way that you can think about Necro is that he's an anti-carry, anti-tank hero. And that's because he does percentage-based damage, and he also does damage based on the enemy hero's missing HP. And so because of that, he really, really hard counters like strength heroes and heroes that have a lot of HP, like Centaur, like Pudge, like Tiny, like Spectre. Any hero that has a ton of HP and feels really, really hard to bring down, he counters them, because the more HP they have, the more damage he's actually doing, and then the more HP he has, the more damage he's doing with his HP removal kind of ability in his ultimate. We'll take a look at that when we jump into the abilities, but that's the main way to think about Necro. But even though that's the main thing that he does, he still does a lot of other different small things. He also acts similarly to like a Medusa or a Bristleback or one of these other kind of frontliney tanky heroes that just like is very slow, immobile, but it's hard to fight into him. He doesn't really move very fast. He doesn't have any really mobility spells to speak of, so it's hard to, get around with the hero, but he sustains very well. He heals a lot. He heals him and his team a lot. He's very hard to bring down, and so it's the same with like Medusa and Bristleback and these other heroes, like I said, because it's hard to fight into him if you're just like fighting him straight on. But if you're mobile, he can have a hard time keeping up with you. He can have a hard time, chasing you around or keeping up with you on the map. But he does sustain, he does heal, all those kinds of things. So that's another way to think about Necro. Now, what counters Necro? Well, magic damage is the big thing that counters Necro, and this is because he has an ability, and we'll take a look at it, like I said, that turns him ethereal. It's basically like a Ghost Scepter or E-Blade, and so he takes more incoming magic damage, but is immune to physical. So that's a little bit of an extra part of why he's like an anti-carry, anti-tank, because he's immune to physical at times, and he does healing and damage with magic damage and stuff, but because he takes extra magic damage, he's very bad against something like Zeus. Like, Zeus is probably the hard counter to this hero. Or something like Lina, something like Lion. Anything that does a lot of magic damage can really, really own this hero, because he's hoping to frontline, he's hoping to tank, he's hoping to heal himself and his allies, but if you lock him down and burst him down with a bunch of magic damage, it can feel really, really bad, because you want to like kind of stay alive in fights for a long time. Do a lot of sustained damage, get people to low health, and then use your ultimate to finish a couple people off. And if you're not able to do that because the enemy's just bursting you down with magic damage, it can feel really, really bad to play this hero. So that's pretty much how to think about Necro conceptually. Now let's take a look at his abilities and see how he's able to do that. So now that we understand Necro in general, we can take a look at his abilities and see how he's able to do all those different things, but be mainly like that anti-carry, anti-tank hero. So first, we're going to take a look at actually his passive, and I'm doing this on purpose because, you might wonder when I walk into range of these heroes and creeps, what's going on. So if I walk in range of these guys, you'll see this dummy target is like constantly taking damage. And that's because his passive is very, very interesting. It's actually one of the big things that makes this hero. It's kind of one of the things that defines the hero. And this is his like sustained magic damage, because it does percentage damage over time. Every tick, it like, it's activated just like an aura. It's an AoE. You see the AoE there, and you see that this dummy target, and even the axe and the creeps, if you can look at them, I just got a last hit by just doing nothing. Everyone that is in this AoE is just passively taking damage. You see this axe is at like 50% health right now because he's just standing in this aura. So you can see how much damage this hero can do over time if he is, just standing next to people. That's why it's something where he wants the front line, he wants to be in everyone's face, but he has a hard time keeping up with people because he would be kind of too OP if he did, but he also gets countered by magic damage. He doesn't want to get burst down early in the fight because he wants to just sit there and sustain, in the fight so he can do more damage over time. So I actually had to refresh there because this axe would have died if I, kept talking there, but that's pretty much the passive that he has here, and it does a ton of damage. Now, the other thing that this does, keep in mind, is actually it gives him regen for every last hit. So this is another reason why this hero sustains so much, because when he gets last hits in lane, not only is he passively doing more damage to the enemy as he's just laning, but every last hit that he gets more health and magic regen, and it's like stacks. So every time you get another one, you'll see a little modifier come up there. So we'll come over here and we'll just get a last hit really quick. We'll just do this, we'll wait, we'll get a last hit, and we see this 1 coming up here, right? And the more last hits you get, the more, stacks you'll get there, and the more regen you'll have. So keep that in mind, too. He's very, very good at sustaining in the lane. He just sustains by getting mana and health over time in the lane, but even later in the game when he's pushing and all these kinds of things, he never has to go back to base. Even if you have a team fight and you get low and you run away, you can just start getting last hits and you'll regen up both mana and health. So it's a really, really fun hero in that way, where you don't have to worry about anything in terms of regen or on the map. You can just stay on the map constantly. You never have to go back to base. We'll refresh here so this axe doesn't die. So that is his passive. I know it took a little while to explain, but it's so versatile. It does so much, and it's just so it defines the hero in such a way that you just really need to understand how it works with that damage and also the regen and what it does in the game. So it's very, very interesting and very cool. Now the next thing we'll look at is Death Pulse. This is the Q ability. It's pretty simple. There's an AoE there and you just click it and any enemy in that AoE takes damage. Now the other thing that happens is we will, click this Necro here for a second. So it doesn't just do damage, it also heals. So you see I click there and I basically am exchanging mana for health. Now the other thing that it does, including healing me, is it also heals the allies in the AoE. So it heals all the creeps and the heroes in the AoE there. So it's a very versatile spell. It does, sustain damage with the team fight. It just helps everyone stay alive, but it also does a ton of burst damage, a good amount of magic damage to the enemy, and it also heals yourself. So it's a really, really cool ability, very versatile, pretty straightforward, but does kind of counter two things, two sides of the same coin, healing and damage. So that's Death Pulse. The next thing is the Ghost Shroud. So Ghost Shroud is the ethereal ability, basically the Ghost Scepter ability. So what happens is you click it, you turn ethereal, you are basically have a Ghost Scepter on you, and you have this little AoE, as you can see, that basically slows heroes. So we'll have Axe here, we'll refresh him again, we'll have him walk, I'll click this, and Axe is slowed. So it's pretty straightforward. That's pretty much all it does, in an offensive way. But the other thing that it does is it actually amps up the magic damage you take, but also the healing that you provide. So basically you click this, you click your heal, and you can do, you take more magic damage, but you also, receive more healing from your spells. So the big thing about this hero is not just using this with your Q. So obviously if you're taking a lot of damage, as we see here, I'm taking damage, then I can click this. I'm not taking right click damage anymore. I click my heal, it does way more heal. But the other thing is stick. So wand or stick is extremely important on this hero. You pretty much buy it every single game, and that's because this ability, Ghost Shroud here, amps up that regen that you're getting from the stick. So basically what will happen is you have a full 20 wand or whatever, a 20 charge wand. The enemy, they're going on you. They think they're going to kill you. Well, you pop this so you don't take damage anymore. You click this and you click your stick, and now you're pretty much back up to full. And it can be super, super annoying, especially because the enemy is taking damage from Death Pulse and also the Heartstopper aura every single time that they're just in that AoE of you. So that's all of his main abilities here. Pretty unique, pretty interesting way to, a pretty interesting conceptual hero that is very, very unique in terms of even Dota. So that's Necro's main abilities here. And the last one we're going to show you is Reaper's Scythe. So this is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. It does damage based on missing HP, and it adds respawn time, which is really, really annoying. So you can buy back. I think in the past it actually made you not able to buy back. So you can still buy back, but you just respawn a lot later, which is super annoying. And it also does a small stun. So we see Axe here is low. Let's just say Axe is low in the team fight. I just cast this. Axe can no longer do anything, and Axe is deleted from the game because of the insane damage that this does. Now, keep in mind, look at this 6 here with the Heartstopper regen. This is the other thing that makes this hero insane, is whenever you kill a hero with this ability, Heartstopper aura, you get a ton of regen. So, you're in the fight, they're going on you, you click this, you click that, you click stick, you're back up to full, you're doing a ton of damage, then you ult somebody, then you get 6 Heartstopper charges, and now you're regenning even more. It can just be so annoying to deal with this hero in the game, and you can probably see why. So, it's a really good ability. Reaper's Scythe there, it just deletes heroes when they have low HP. But, we'll refresh here, we see Axe has, high HP, so I cast this on him. It barely does any damage, so just keep in mind, you can use it for the short stun. So sometimes, if we refresh here, if, you're running after a hero, sometimes it's okay to ult them, and then click that, click your Death Pulse so that they take damage before the Reaper's Scythe actually comes down and hits them, because keep in mind that the damage it calculates is only after the stun is done and the Reaper Scythe comes down, so you still have that 1.5 seconds to do more damage to them in the duration of the Reaper Scythe. So you can cast it for the stun occasionally. You don't just need to wait till they're low HP, but just keep in mind if you cast it on a high HP hero, it's not going to really do that much. So those are Necro's abilities. That's how you use them. That's how they synergize. Now let's jump into a game and see how he's played. Now we're jumping into a game here of Jabs playing Necro mid, and I just wanted to show you this early laning stage and basically how aggressive he is and how he kind of just dominates the lane, especially against an Ember. Any kind of melee hero, when you are mid against a melee hero as Necro, you should be able to dominate the lane because of your built-in regen that you're obviously getting every time you get a last hit, because of your magic damage that you have. Even though Ember has an ability that blocks magic damage, it still is just very one-sided for this Necro here. So basically the key that you're seeing already twice is that he uses his pulse here, his death pulse here, to not only harass the enemy, but also secure last hits. So see here, he uses it to secure 2 last hits and get a ton of damage on the Ember. So he's already used it 3 times, basically, in the first wave, and just also is just clicking this Ember constantly to do damage, because pretty much Necro is really good at trading. What happens in the lane sometimes in off lane is maybe you use your heal or whatever, and then you have no spells left, and then they can, go on you, stun you, maybe you're against the jug and they spin you down or something like that. So that can be really annoying, especially early on. But in a lane that's mid against a melee, against someone that can't really be too aggressive on you, it's just so easy because you can trade so well, because you know that you're going to be getting last hits and you're going to be regenning up, where they're just going to have to buy regen. So you see he's just constantly harassing, constantly doing what he can to harass. Now he obviously misses a few last hits there, which isn't great because he's under tower. But you see how he's trying to mess with the Ember's last hits while also using his Death Pulse to harass him any chance that he gets, because he's just going to keep getting regen from his passive. But you see how aggressive he's getting. He's just posturing aggressively. He's standing on the hill. All of these kinds of things. And this is exactly what you want to do as Necro against someone like Ember, any kind of melee hero. But this is pretty much how you play Necro. It's actually really just simple. You get last hits. You use your Death Pulse anytime that you can harass them like that, or to secure last hits, or do both, hopefully. And then, you just hopefully wear them down and they make a mistake and you kill them. Obviously, he's, playing in a high MMR game, so the Ember is doing everything that he can to, survive and get last hits and get as much XP as he possibly can. But you'll see, over the course of this entire lane, and we'll fast forward just a little bit here. We'll go 2 times speed. You see that just as a war of attrition, basically. It's just over time, the Necro will slowly get ahead, the Ember will have to spend more and more on regen, all this kind of stuff. It's even harder and harder for him to approach the lane as Necro's getting more levels, getting even more regen, all this kind of stuff. You see, Ember's barely even in the lane half the time because he just knows that he's just going to take a ton of harass from all these spells and even the passive. You see, he's actually... So they're level 4 here. They both are level 4, but Necro is practically a level ahead because Ember only just hit 4. But you see how aggressive he's being. Look how low this Ember is. And if this Ember stayed around at all, he would be completely screwed. And Necro's really just approaching the tower, diving the tower, and forcing the Ember to back away and making him miss all of this experience. So now the Necro is level 5, this Ember's level 4. He's probably going to hit level 6 way before the Ember. It's just going to feel so bad. And this is just how you dominate with Necro. I think the only difference would be, obviously, if you are playing against a Viper or some other hero that's also aggressive, you can just kind of creep aggro, sustain in the lane, get your last hits, and just do whatever you can. You don't have to be super aggressive, but in a lane where you can be aggressive, I think this is the perfect example of how to to dominate a lane with Necro. And you see, again, he pops a stick there. He gets up to, like, pretty much full. He just is, like, crushing this lane now. He's almost level 6. The Ember just hit level 5. And this lane is pretty much over. You see how even because of his domination here, the 2 supports have had to come to help Ember, and he's still not even winning the lane. So I think that's just the perfect example of how to dominate a lane with Necro, especially against a good matchup. So we jumped ahead a little bit here, and I just want to show you how he's kind of just sustaining and being aggressive. You know, he's pushing in the lane. He knows that the heroes on the enemy team don't really want to contest him. They actually did gank him like 4 heroes to kill him. But you see how he's just being aggressive, dragging the wave, taking the enemy's stacks in the jungle. He just knows that it's so hard to deal with him. The only way the enemy can really deal with him is to bring a bunch of heroes. You see how much he's crushing the Ember so badly that the Spectre's even able to haunt in and get a solo kill. You see how he's just, like, aggressively pushing the lane. And we also saw briefly at the end of the last clip that he just used his ult as soon as he got it. And that's another thing you want to be doing. When he has his ult off of cooldown, like, he's able to use it, he just looks to use it. In other words, like, as soon as he's able to use it, he goes in and uses it. He gets a kill. He's super aggressive. He knows the enemy can't deal with him. He actually dives the Ember there and gets another kill on the Ember, which is insane. This Ember's game is completely dumpstered. Also, if you noticed, your Death Pulse actually goes through fog. So anything in the AoE, even if you can't see it, will get hit by your Death Pulse. See, he does die there, but it's totally worth it. They get 2 more kills, 1 on the carry and 1 on the 4 or 5 position. And so, this is just the perfect way to play Necro in the mid game, pretty much. You push lanes, you posture aggressively on the map, and then you look to get involved with your team and use your ult whenever it's off cooldown. That's pretty much how you play Necro. So we see he respawned here. He doesn't have his ult, but he's still looking to be aggressive because he knows it's very, very hard to deal with him in this game. So he's level 10, the Ember is level 7, and he's just, like, casually pushing this tower. He knows that it's extremely difficult for the enemy to do anything to him. You see, it's like a 3v1 there. Yes, he has the backup of his Undying, but still, it's like there's nothing they can do to him, especially with the lead that he has because he snowballed the game. So now his ult is back up, and he's just going to look again to be aggressive, sustain, push out the lanes, posture aggressively, and use his ult whenever he can. You see he's, like, running right at the people, and they have to be scared because they know if he gets damage on them like that, he just ults them and they die. Any kind of, if they're half health or anything like that, even that Wind Ranger was almost full health, a couple spells there and an ult, and he just deleted off the map. So that's pretty much how to play Necro, transitioning out of the lane into the mid game. Posture aggressively, look to push lanes, take towers, and whenever your ult is off cooldown, just look to get kills with it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, the next clip I want to show you is basically just a late game kind of team fight scenario with Necro, and honestly, this hero is not very complicated. Once you get past that laning stage, you kind of just do the same thing the entire game. You look to push lanes when you can, posture aggressively when you can, look to use your ult whenever you can, and then in a team fight, you want them to focus you because you want them to use spells on you like we see here, but then it's really, really hard to bring you down and kill you because you have so much heal, you have so much sustain. You see he has a Yules, he has a Lotus Orb, he has 20 stick. You see they spend all of their resources to kill him, but he just, he can't be brought down, and then he ends up ulting the Ember and taking the Ember out, and now because of that, look at it. Look at this regen that he has. He's almost back up to full. He's back up to like 75% health, and they spent so much to try to kill him. That's just a perfect example of how to use this hero in the later portion of the game. In team fights, you pretty much want to build so that you don't die, but they still go on you. They try to use resources on you to kill you, but they can't bring you down to full, so you get like Lotus Orb, Yules, anything like that, even BKB, whatever it is. You get these items so that you can live, so you can sustain, and then you cast your spells, you maintain in the fight, you do a ton of damage, you ult somebody, you take them out of the fight. It's a 4v5, straightforward, simple. They blow all their abilities to try to kill you, but it doesn't work because you regen up to full, and you just turn the fight from there. That's pretty much how to play Necro. Like I said, he's kind of this weird frontline. He's almost like a weird Medusa type hero, but like a magic damage Medusa, where like if you just don't bring him down, if you don't burst him, if you don't have magic damage, or you can't lock him down, he'll just turn the fight and do so much to you with his ult and his, percentage-based damage over time. So that's pretty much Necro, honestly. That's how to play the hero. It's really straightforward, really simple. It's really, really strong. It doesn't offer a lot of, like, huge, big play potential, so that's why you are relying on your team a lot to, make plays, to blink in, to initiate all this kind of stuff. but you can do a ton in fights. You can honestly just like carry the game solo with the nature of this hero and how it works. So that is Necro. That's my Necro guide. That's how you play him. If you guys like this video, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. Like I always say, the Discord is available to join, to request replays and everything there, or leave a comment below. Go to my Patreon if you want coaching, as well as Twitch below there is, you know, that's where I'm going to be doing replays. I'm also going to be streaming a little bit more in the future. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.